Okay, we'll call a special town board meeting to order. We have a pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Like one of the rental,
So we are entered into the public hearing for the number 9, 2024 resolution for the water district improvement. Anything wrong with this? Well, we need to sit here for a few seconds.
No,
No?
this is the resolution to set the public hearing.
Oh, geez. All right. I make a motion.
Alright.
Motion was made and seconded.
When do you want to set it for?
It says June 11th on here.
At what time?
Our board meeting?
This is 6 o'clock board meeting.
5:30.
5:30.
Okay.
Okay.
We just need to have this done by June 1st. For advertising.
For advertising, yeah. All right, so David made the motion and Sean, you seconded it? Did I get that right?
Sure.
Okay. Gary,
Aye.
Dave,
Aye.
Sean,
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
right.
Aye. And Dean is going to give us an update on retaining wall maintenance.
Yeah, so I spoke to the landowners, they were fine with us allowing to go onto the property and do it. I didn't know, I had like guy from Jefferson, he knows you, Frank, it's a Cowles, owns Jefferson, Tom, is his name Tom? He talked about some precast. Thompson, yeah. He had talked about some precast blocks, which I believe is like what Tracy has out in front of her place. Stacked up with, suffice.
I wondered, because that's what's coming down from Governor Street, down there on the side of it. Isn't it?
Oh, yeah, we're
Those
Brian,
guys. We used to-
Brian used to be right kind of.
Oh. Well, that's a port wall there.
Yeah, that's.
Oh, that's port. Yes, that's a port.
Chris Bay has them then too. right?
Chris Bay has some that didn't make, he's actually stepped back, because I was worried about him tipping.
Yeah.
He's all set back like 3 inches as they go up, there's a base block and then you're set back. And backfill.
We're not the only.
Yeah, we did some measuring, we'll lose, I think, the sidewalk there is almost 5.5 feet wide, you lose a little bit of the sidewalk. I guess if that's where you wanna go, I mean, I think if you go with a poured wall, you're gonna have to get some engineering and it could become she doesn't know what she's gonna do on the property, she said whatever we do.
Is that our camper there?
It was, yeah, she was up for like, I just happened to catch her for 3 days, they were here and they're gone now, but. So I told her that, probably Andy would have to draw up something that would release them for any liability issues, for doing the project. So I don't know if you wanna try and. By the next board meeting, I'll try and get together like a description of work between him and I and measurements and.
Well, we have to dig out the old wall. obviously.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to dig it out and.
That must secure it somehow to the bottom, so it must be something secure.
He said they just pretty much sit, they're like 6 foot, and then as you come up, they like say they set back 3 inches as they come up. He actually,
Backfill it with some fine stuff.
he said number 2. Yeah, 2. He actually took some pictures on the job.
Yeah, put drainage behind it.
Oh, 5 feet, the 5 foot width isn't something you necessarily have to have anyways for a sidewalk.
Right, yeah, and it's wide there. The only thing I don't know, we'll have to come up with something, I just feel on top, we'll have somewhat of a curb and what they call a top block, and then we'll have to put some type of railing, somebody will be jumping over the edge. But,
Wasn't there a white fence there?
there was yeah,
That plastic thing.
Yeah, that was.
that was like a 24 foot. The terrace. I thought it looked pretty good. You can kind of see it through Sean, kind of.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. I thought she was gonna make her property.
What the she said, I mean, you know.
Well, she's still got down below to deal with her stuff.
Kind of step as legal.
Well, like something she would do there. I'm not sure what they're.
That would be a great. You know, will you converse with her again?
What's that?
I said, will you be chatting with her again?
I told her as long as I had, I probably won't be.
I didn't know whether when they were there, whether she wanted to address that. Would want to address that lower wall, because that's getting rough looking.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll fix our stuff.
I know.
Yeah.
Leave her alone, because that's, yeah.
Well, I was thinking more,
Well,
I was
I
thinking more, we would be dealing with it if it fell out in the street.
yeah. Which, like I said, I think with you or somebody, we can straight that one out of the street and
Okay,
still doesn't go around the corner.
all right.
So yeah, I'll try to get those measurements and then get a bid, hopefully, and because we have, that's using ARPA money hopefully for quarter or big parts of that project.
So Carol has got an update for us to start with on that payroll program.
Yeah, well, Judy was going to come and she backed out. So, particularly like confrontation. After promoting, that payroll service and initiating, we just need to call her, thing, because she got all the information on it, really, but the bottom line is, the company that Judy had recommended said that they would be able to do the payroll, do all that, and download it into our Williamson accounting program. Whereas right now, we have a Williamson payroll program and Williamson accounting, and it just, with a click of a button, transfers that data over to the Williamson accounting program. So Judy called Ted, who's the main accountant at Williamson, to find out what they needed to do in order to have access to do that. And he said, we don't let anybody in our program. Said, I'd like to know what towns they said are doing that. So Judy said, well, I don't know. That's just what they told me. He says, we don't let them go into our program. So we had a conference call with a couple of the women who Judy had spoken with on the phone, through the computer, I guess, but talked to them and said, what towns are using and downloading information into Williamson? And they said, well, no, we're not exactly doing that. What they're doing is we would have to install a special program that they would download send the information to, and then we would have to download that information into Williamson ourselves and do all the journal entries for all the payroll information that had to go into the Williamson bookkeeping program. So I said, you know what? I don't like that. I think it leaves and Judy agreed, a big risk of data being entered incorrectly, inputting data from that program into the Williamson, and right now, it takes me longer because I've only done payroll a few times in the last year, but you know, a good afternoon and Judy's done, the payroll's done, everything's printed. And she clicks a button at the end of it and it transfers it to the Williamson accounting program. And we just feel there's less chance of errors, or if data is input wrong, we spend hours trying to figure out what went in wrong. And so decided that it might be best just to stay with what we have. And not do it. Quarterly reports, I do the quarterly report, which I probably turn over to whoever takes Judy's job, since that job is payroll. But the payroll program prints all the quarterly reports for the most part. I have to go online and actually enter that data in for the state quarterly report and the federal quarterly report. That's not a lengthy deal, and the reports are all detailed. And I checked what the program says to Judy's manual files, just to make sure everything, but it doesn't take all that long. The other thing that they would have done was the W-2s, which I finally got certified to be able to do that. because they increased that. I had to send them a picture of my driver's license. They had to do an online chat to confirm that I was the person who was in the photo and the license, and it was a long process. And that's the biggest pain in the ass, but it can be done anyway. And
So how do you, when you do yours, or you guys do the same one, right? What do you? What's the
Call them the hours.
I just call them the hours. I wonder what the difference is.
I don't know when you, so we would have to send them something with the hours, but then,
One thing we used to have, it might, yeah.
then how do you get that into your accounting system to show all that payroll? Or is that a separate file, all
I
that?
take it into my QuickBooks and I print it, they send you reports and I just put it into my QuickBooks.
Mhm.
It takes care of
The
it.
way they described it was that it was and I don't remember the name of the program, we would know probably better. That it would have to be installed, and that's where the information would be, and we would have to download it into our accounting program. And I'm not sure that you're saving a whole lot of steps, to be honest with you, and you're just more at risk of mistakes being made, in my opinion.
It's pretty easy for us, or me, with Gary, because we don't have that many employees and. I know the court, when I worked down there, they have paychecks, so I don't know what they do. I would imagine paychecks is gonna be the same kind of
I don't
thing,
think so.
getting into that your program that you have now.
Yeah. Yeah, because Williamson won't let any data be downloaded into their program.
Yeah, cause I mean, I don't do it every week, I do it like every 3 months, but I'll take a stack of my reports and I just enter them in, federal withholding, this withholding, that withholding. You know, I
Yeah,
put it into my computer, then at the end of the year, I can push a button, say, okay, here's all my payroll expenses and the QuickBooks.
all right.
But I could see where, again, this accounting program doesn't want paychecks dabbling into this thing or whatever.
Yeah,
Or complete
and there'd
payroll.
be a bunch of journal entries that would still have to be done.
It's not just giving them the hours, like it pretty much said.
You give them, right, you would have to send them and they don't pay, I don't think they pay child support, that would still be paid by whoever does payroll. Deferred comp. And. Or maybe the union dues or something like that, those checks are all
You know,
out of payroll, but those, you still have to write checks, I don't see where you're saving a whole lot. Not being able for them to put it into the program, and I think you're increasing the chance of errors. And Judy is in agreement after we talked with that person to find out what towns, what municipalities they are downloading into, and I don't know who misunderstood who, and Judy talked with people, but she said that was what she was told by one person, but she said that wasn't true.
It's probably better off staying where we're doing what we're doing now.
I thought it was best if they.
Yeah, I never really thought about the bookkeeping part of it, or, you know, your accounting side, right, because it's easy for me, I mean,
Yeah,
and I'm not even good with the computer, but.
yeah. And then, of course, the accounting program throws the data over into the budget program that we also have to release, so it's pretty well coordinated. Yeah.
I see what you pay, it comes out of the automatic, comes out of the town side of the payroll.
Yeah, when the payroll is done, it's calculated through trust and agency, of course, but it will automatically, I don't know what it's called, like I said, I've only done payroll a few times in the last year and a half, but.
It all converts into one program.
It just goes right over and loads all the line items in general and highway and all three sewers and water, everybody's pay. Gets divided automatically from the Williamson payroll program into the accounting program.
We didn't sign a contract or nothing.
No, we confirmed that. It wasn't a contract, it was an agreement. And we didn't even complete, to be honest with you, cause I kept saying, I don't like that, I don't like that. Judy was doing all the talking, I was just listening and watching on my computer, but, she said, so, you know, that's not the way we understood it. Are we committed to this paper that was signed? And they said it was not a contract. It was simply an agreement, and no, there was no legal issue with not taking the program. And they asked us to think about it. But
it looks like it's been thought about, and it wasn't, everybody.
Especially when they came up with any other towns that are doing it.
Yeah, they're not doing it with, according to Williamson, Ted is the main bookkeeper that I deal with whenever I have a bookkeeping issue, and I didn't specifically speak to him, but Judy did. Said they don't do that with any municipality or any of their program.
Not because there's so many budgets come out on this and that, you know, like for servers and.
Yeah, that would make it a little more confusing to run payroll too, because of having to use, what, 6 funds to pay payroll.
So when you turn in your pay, what do you do, like Gary's? For 30 or 20 hours water.
So all I do is turn in the hours, these get the
Oh,
payroll.
It's already working.
There's a formula that they have on a sheet that they divide their hours out of, but it's already set up in their payroll system to do that.
Yeah.
Pull it out of each line.
Chris
item.
came up with a percentage for the 3 sewer districts and the water district, I believe, right, wasn't that you?
Yeah, this
What-
is really, this is based on discussions that we had,
Yeah,
but this is the theory of how we divided, the time gets divided up, you know, if we spend an awful lot of time on sewer district number 3. It doesn't get charged specially, but I figure it all comes out in the wash.
yeah, instead of
This is
changing it every.
One time a year estimate that we apply for the whole year.
Yeah. It'd be hard to really keep track, but it's like spend all the time. Well, you guys would be the ones to know, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think
didn't want to go back.
Judy and Carol, I take their recommendation.
Oh, God.
The biggest thing is,
They're in the
you know,
trenches.
so many problems with Vince's program. And Judy spent hours on trying to get that worked out, converting Williamson just to them, and that did not work out well. I'm still working on the AUD. I found out today why that won't balance, and it had to do with transferring beginning year balances in 23. The 3 sewer districts and the water district re-levy didn't get pulled over. When I got paid for it, Judy didn't realize that it wasn't in the 380 account line item. And that money all got put into a regular budget line item. So my AUD is showing that we got more money than what we really have, because she eventually did put in the 380, but now it was in the 380 accounts receivable line and still in those other line items. I gotta back that out of there. I'll finally be able to balance the darn AUD. I could not figure out what the hell was wrong with that, why it wasn't. I mentioned it to Judy today. I said, with the amount that it's off, it's got to be something to do with those re-levies. Something did not go in that program. And then she said, well, I did have a problem rate with that. Remember I mentioned that? I said, yeah, you did say something about it. I guess I didn't realize that it got coded to a regular line item, which it should not have gone through there. But we figured that out, and she was putting the numbers together to be able to get that fixed.
Okay, you had something else you wanted to bring forward?
Jenny and I talked after we found out is it Kristen was hired. And she would only take the job if her salary was brought up to 45,000. And that did not sit well with Judy and I, to be honest with you. Judy was she's got kind of did the breakdown on it, but she just really didn't want the confrontation of it. But we were discussing about it was going to be difficult to train somebody for a couple months when they were coming in $3,000, not quite $3,000 higher than me. And Judy gets more in her salary than me because of the deal that was made, that you guys made with her several years ago. She gave up her insurance for a couple $1,000 more in salary than me because I had insurance. It's fine, I didn't have a but we do have a little problem with training somebody who's coming in at a higher rate than we are. So we wanted to propose, like for mine, and Judy sent me this, she's got all the paperwork, but she just was getting too upset about the whole thing, so she decided to stay home and texted me the information about it. So for me, the difference of raising me, I make 42,000 Oh, God, it goes in the beginning of the year and I don't remember what it is. Maybe 700, 500 and something like that. So she said that if I was to collect 45,000 this year, it would make a difference, it would add $76.80 per payroll for 26 pays. To bring me up to 45,000. I don't have her figures, she decided, I guess, because the town is doing her, gonna pay some of her insurance at retirement, that she decided that she was going to back down from requesting any more money in her salary.
I want to know, I'm understanding, are you proposing that when they come on board, then you need? to-
No, I'm proposing that my salary be 45,000 this year. I think Judy told me it was a difference of $2,070. To increase me to 45. And Judy wasn't going to, she makes 44, I don't know what it is, it's 44,000 something.
Yeah, we'll give her.
Like I said, she has all that data and was gonna come up, but then she apparently got to thinking about it and was upset about it. She said she just didn't think she could come to the meeting, so she sent me the information on mine as well as a little bit of information on software programs and that we were requesting that be paid. So,
She's fine because she's gonna get insurance, we'll give her insurance.
yes.
Which we have determined what that is, which we need to soon.
Yeah.
Sure, and I'm not sure either what the payout, I think when we initially discussed that back there in that room. I mean, like, right now, the town policy is, especially us on Medicare. That comes out of our Medicare check every month, and the town does not pay anything on our Medicare insurance. That comes out of our own Medicare benefit that we get. The town pays 50% of non-union single employees. But I don't know, whatever you guys would have to just figure it out, so I know how to calculate it, I guess.
Carol, what do we say, the town pays 50% of non-union, we're talking about retirees at that point,
Yes,
makes sense to me,
and that's what
I'm just doing.
union employees will get the 75% from the individual and 50% of family.
Mhm.
Non-union gets 50% of the employee and 35% if they have family. So that's what we were gonna ask.
Suspect you want to chat with that about that in executive session. Yes, no,
Yeah.
thank you.
That's it.
Thanks for that on the payroll too.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
something that was testing.
Well, it's just, it was gonna leave, I was afraid it was gonna leave a lot of room for error. And what the town was going to pay for that service. We had that figured out too. She said it was gonna be, was maybe 3,000 something, 3,800 or something like that. And she said that would cover any increase we asked for our salary. Just to do the work internally. And keep it that way, but. You wouldn't have to spend money on that.
You still plan on staying 2 or 3 years?
How did we can find somebody? How did we can find somebody? January or February. So we can get through the AUD and the 1099s and the W2s and all that stuff. And maybe whoever takes that job will have knowledge on doing that and won't be a bad training. The AUD might be different for somebody. But if she converted over, then we got a different person doing payroll. It just depends on how much they know about
Yeah.
that aspect of the end of the year stuff.
Mhm.
Getting the budget transferred over into the new year, that kind of thing. that you really can't train until you're there. So,
It'll be interesting, yeah.
Well, thanks for sticking over.
yeah. And then whoever takes over, if anybody, whoever takes my position, no matter who it is, you know, I am finding that I am buried in paperwork, emails, in court. In May, we received 95 new tickets. Now, we get that just about, we're averaging 90 new tickets every month. And the caseload, like I said, a lot of people email, so you got emails to answer, and there's a pile of mail you go through for all these regular tickets. But-
Before stuff dropped off, how much, what were you
Well,
averaging?
even before COVID.
Yeah.
We would never get that many tickets, during COVID, obviously, and even for the first couple of years after COVID, we might have gotten 10, 12 tickets a month. Yeah, even after COVID rules were released, I was surprised that it didn't come up more, but it didn't. And then just last year, because we collected more than we budgeted in fines last year, like by 10,000 something. Because all of a sudden, boy, they started writing tickets and they just haven't stopped.
So that stop down at the old golf course didn't have such a negative effect on.
Is that Morristown even?
No, that's what I'm saying, that stop,
No,
that's where all the big semis get
I'll tell
stopped.
you where we're getting
Oh, yeah.
tickets, it's right there in Briar Hill. They
Yeah.
sit there and they can ticket all day long.
I know because they usually get them stopped between
You say me?
between my place
Oh.
and Whitman's.
I thought you meant you.
No.
So the quarterly reports, and things that I do, should go to the bookkeeper. I pay for health insurance and figure that out too, but I don't know, there might need to be some juggling there a little bit with it. I do all the hospital and retiree payments and quarterly reports.
I think it would be really appropriate to think about the job definition when there's a change.
Yeah,
So that we make sure that we don't just keep doing it.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know, let's do it on
I
purpose.
mean, the payroll program is done by who's replacing Judy, so it only makes sense so that that person, really, to me, that they do quarterly reports. I think I just kept it because I did it all alone until it got too much for just me. And then when Judy came on and she took over a bunch of that stuff, for whatever reason, I kept quarterly reports and W-2s and 1099s. I'm not exactly sure why that happened, it just seems like it happened. But really, that all should be generated through who's doing payroll.
mhm.
But, so some of that might need to be shifted a little bit. But again, the person who replaces me needs to have some knowledge. Because you back up,
Right,
when Judy's gone, I
as
do
you
payroll.
mentioned, yeah, as you mentioned earlier, one of the other meetings, yeah. So,
Like I said, we've been lucky you guys stay, because new people might come for a year, bail out, who the hell knows, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
And Jill will have,
well, the other issue is gonna be the same thing with the next,
we all-
hire. Is
Yeah.
these people are, you can't get workers and they're not gonna come in for what we're paid at. So we're just gonna have a tough time if you don't make it good enough for them to come in, unless you're able to get. And I don't know if you wanna do that, get an older person who would be less inclined to require more money, but then again, how long will that person be there? So yeah, you got some figuring to do on that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks for listening to me. I
Thanks,
appreciate it.
Jill.
Sam?
have a good night.
Thanks. Good night.
Hi.
Good night, Jill.
You want to go through the rest of the agenda?
Yeah, I was joking,
First, you want to go on rural housing resolution?
Yes, I was at a conference on one of the devices that New York State is using now for application for grants. And they're consolidating the application process so that they can get the basic information about, let's say, what's the municipality and you know, all that kind of documentation. Who's the supervisor and all that stuff. And then you have to do separate applications for the different programs. it's not as simple as I laid that out. They've got more questions to get answered. One of the things that is new this year is a requirement for a large number of programs that you become a pro-housing community. And what they mean by that, in practical terms, as opposed to theory and so forth, is that illustrated by a discussion that we had with Lisa, our code officer today. She told us that, excuse me, that she had a request for a permit to, she was talking to a potential buyer of the former Masonic Hall, who was thinking about putting apartments in there. That area is zoned commercial and does not permit residential uses unless they're grandfathered. So in the case of that particular building, because it's been inactive as a residence for so many years, I mean, decades ago it was a residence, it might even be a century ago, it was a residence. But now it doesn't fit our current code. And we've got a strip down Main Street, and she thought it went as far as Bay Street. That's all commercial. So all those residences there are there only because they're grandfathered. They were there before this law was passed. And you know, in the worst case situation, if one of them fell down or burned down, you couldn't rebuild it. And I think I must have missed that when we approved the zoning law. Wouldn't have been my intention. So she is drafting at my request and Frank's request, a modification to our zoning code that will change that commercial definition to say a mixed use, commercial and housing.
Which means, of course, we'll have another hearing on that change.
But the change will be not a big deal, but that's an example of taking the step to be pro-housing, to permit housing. This, of course, is all growing out of what's called the homeless crisis, because across the country, there's not enough housing that's decent. It's not, I think, uniquely. But
Now, and she had, there's forms that she would have to complete, and when we asked her about it, she started laughing and she said, I just finished those before I came here for
Potsdam.
yeah. He said, so she's, you know, pretty well is familiar with it, and it's not a big deal. Well, it is a big deal, it's a lot to pull together, but and I said, well, if she needs to utilize Patty, who's really good at that, on that kind of stuff, pull information to, I would encourage her to use her so that she can still go on with her regular duties. So that's, so it's more of a, this thing is not there's nothing financially troubling or that we're going to be involved with by being pro-housing, but it sets us up in a better place again for grants.
So if you had reservations, we could put this off, but as a matter of fact, I'd like to get it approved tonight if we could, so we could go ahead and fill out our, advance our work on grants. I'm not sure we're actually gonna get one in this summer, but let's check this thing off.
I had a thought in my mind to that 100 acres we have. If a developer wanted to put housing back in there, they'd have to put the water and sewer in, but that's. I mean. That would be a nice spot, something like that.
Yeah,
back in there too. Other than just having it for somebody like for hunting, the developer wanted to.
So do any of you want to talk about this more before I make a motion?
No.
I would move approval of resolution number 1024 on pro-housing communities.
Do we have a second?
Also.
Roll call, please.
Gary,
Aye.
David,
Aye.
Sean.
Aye.
Chris,
Aye.
Frank,
Aye. Now, our next item under other business has to do with, our potential hiree has agreed to the 45,000 that we spoke of. So we now need it, we need now a motion to offer the position to us. Is that the correct terminology?
yeah,
So I need a motion.
Well,
All right, Gary, I already named what you can go.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded.
Gary,
Aye.
David,
it. Aye.
Sean,
Abstain.
Chris,
Aye.
and Frank.
Aye. So with that, Jill and I are going to put together a letter of agreement, and we're also gonna do one we hadn't done yet for Lisa, a letter of agreement on and tomorrow, is that gonna work for you? I come in tomorrow to
It should, yeah.
we craft those.
If we focus on that.
You'll shut the door, you won't let anybody in. So, okay, now, would you like to leave? Would you like to leave?
I would love to go home. I've been there
Okay,
since
well, we will
morning.
we'll officially close the meeting.
All right.
Oh, probably,
Motion to go into executive?
Yes, please.
Oh,
Who made the motion?
Was that?
Oh, I'm sorry, well. Short over there again, so he's doing double shifts. Quiet over here.
Sean seconded.
Second, yeah. Like the over here takes a nap.
I know.
Taking it like Joe Biden.
I don't know what it is.
Did you know that?
I didn't know
Did you know that
that.
Joe Biden-
He's young.
You're
Yeah,
right.
he didn't know. Yeah. But I don't like. Get up here.
Oh, who was that? Okay, that.
Okay.
Was there?